Hey everybody, so welcome back to My Wings of Refuge. I'm really excited today because the Titans have actually been doing well this season and they're in the playoffs. So what better way to celebrate than making some homemade pretzels. Last week we talked about what we do when our starter gets this full and we don't want to just discard and throw some away. So we're going to take our starter right straight from the refrigerator and we're not going to feed it today. All we're going to do is give it a nice stir. It was interesting last week when we did our video that so many people talked about how thin my starter is. It's very, very thin. There's not a lot to it. There's more liquid than there is anything else to it. But if you look and research a lot of sourdough bread recipes, you'll see that there's so many different variations, and this is just the way mine is. I've never had trouble with it. So anyway, we're just going to give it a good stir here. And for our pretzels today, we're going to need 1.5 cups. So I'm just going to pour 1.5 cups. There we go. So now we're back down to a normal amount. And we'll just store this right back in our refrigerator. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix all of our wet ingredients first. So we'll take our 1.5 cups of starter. You can see the bubbles already. I love that because it is so alive. There we go. And then we're going to take 1 cup of warm water. That'll help liven it up a little bit right there as well. And for this recipe, since we're not feeding it, we are going to add a tablespoon of sugar just to help liven it up just a little bit, because we're going to let this rise for a couple of hours. And then we're going to take just 2 tablespoons of a real butter. None of the margarine, none of the fake stuff, just some real butter. And again, we're going to give it a good stir. Before when we made our sourdough bread, we added oils. Instead of oils this time, we're adding just that little bit of butter. Okay, and then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. There we go. So after we've stirred that real good, then we're going to add in our flour. We have here 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Now I like to make sure mine is unbleached. And I order mine usually from King Arthur. Just going to add that in. And then we're going to add in 2.5 cups of our bread flour. Okay, so now that we have formed our dough into our ball, as you can see here, and nice and pulling away from the sides, all we have to do is take another bowl And we want to lightly spray it with an oil because we don't want it to stick. And then we're just going to turn this out. Boink. Okay, so we are back. It's actually been about 3 hours and our dough has doubled in size. As you can see here. There we go. And we're just going to knead it a little bit here. On a floured surface. You don't have to knead it a lot. We just want to make sure we don't have any air bubbles in it. Then we're going to cut this in about 16 equal size pieces. Okay, so we've got all of the little pretzels all rolled out and made into cute little pretzels. Now we want to bring some water to a boil, and we want to add in about 1/4 cup of baking soda. I know that sounds weird. It really won't affect the flavor or anything of your pretzels, but my understanding of what it does is it stops the dough from rising, but it also puts a nice, that shiny, hard kind of coating on them that really makes them a pretzel. So you don't want to leave that step out. And while that's coming to a boil, we want to go ahead and turn our oven on and set it for 450 and let that be preheating, because as soon as they come out of the water here, we'll be ready to put them in the oven. So what we're going to do is we're going to take each one, and you really need a slotted spatula. I've ruined mine recently, so I'm using this. But we're going to take each pretzel and we're just going to lightly put it in the water, and you want it to make sure the water covers it. And we want to leave it in there about 30 to 45 seconds. A minute is not too long. And then we'll scoop it out and we'll sit it out here until we get all of these done. Okay, so we have boiled each one of these in our baking soda water, and I have whisked together here 1 egg with about a tablespoon of water, and then we want to, it's called an egg wash, we want to use our little brush, and we just want to brush the tops of each one of our pretzels. This will help them for the pretzel salt to stick. You don't want the yellow to pool anywhere. Then we're going to sprinkle our pretzel salt. You don't have to use pretzel salt. I sprinkled mine with regular salt before, but the last time I placed a order with King Arthur, I saw they have pretzel salt, so I grabbed some. We have put our egg wash on and our salt, and now we're going to pop these in the oven that has been preheated to 450, and they're going to stay in there for about 15 minutes. You want to keep an eye on them and make sure they turn nice and golden brown on top, and then they're done. So they just came out of the oven and they look absolutely beautiful. Look at that, isn't it gorgeous? Look at those. So while they were in the oven and finishing up, I whipped up some of my favorite honey mustard sauce. And these bad boys are ready for eating. So y'all, thank you for tuning in today and helping me make these beautiful pretzels. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, and maybe you've made pretzels at home. Maybe you do it a little bit differently. Add it in the comments below. I'd like to hear from you. Until then, have a great day, and I'll see you next week.